True or false? Confucius was a Chinese philosopher who lived during the Ming Dynasty.
True.
Not Ming Dynasty, long, long before. He was an ancient philosopher, thousands of years before. So false on this one. It's ancient. Zheng He was a Chinese admiral.
True.
No, that's true. That's true. He was a Chinese admiral. Not an explorer. He knew where he was going, but he was an admiral. Matteo Ricci was a Catholic missionary who introduced China to Western science.
True.
That is true. The Qing ruled the Manchu dynasty. False. Switch it around. Manchu are the ethnic group. Qing are the dynasty. Kangxi was a Chosun emperor who convinced the Chinese to accept his rule by following Confucius. False. What makes it true? Right, yeah, China or Qing would be better. Right, he was a Qing emperor. Right? Chosun is Korea. This is Qing. And this is one reason I like to do these is that, and I like the note cards because people feel confident when they're just looking at the terms like in a list or on the PowerPoint, but when you see the terms isolated, it's easy to get them mixed up. Right, so this is why I like to do this. Sejong was the Chosun Korean king who invented Hangul.
True.
That is a true statement. The Imjin War began when China invaded Japan through Korea. False. Got to switch it around. Japan invaded China through Korea. Oh. The Japanese emperor, who was believed to be the descendant of Amaterasu, appointed the most powerful samurai to be shogun.
True.
That is a true statement. Yep. Tokugawa Ieyasu united Japan and was named shogun.
True.
That is true. Byzantium followed Sunni Islam and is connected to modern-day Turkey.
False.
False rights. Byzantium was a Christian empire. It was one that was defeated by the Ottomans. It's most closely connected to the Greeks. The Safavid Empire followed Shia Islam and was the least religiously tolerant of the 30 Islamic empires we studied.
True.
That is true. That is true. Remember, they were Turks who were ruling Persians people. So they there was an ethnic division, and they tried to use religion to unify the people. The Caliph is the successor of Muhammad.
True.
That is true. Mehmet was an Ottoman emperor who used his janissaries to conquer Byzantium by taking its capital, Constantinople.
True.
That is a true statement. Taqiyuddin was a Mughal astronomer.
True.
False. What was he? Ottoman. He was Ottoman. Akbar was a Mughal emperor who built the Taj Mahal.
False.
Right, we just went over that, right? What was Akbar famous for?
Tolerance.
Right, religious tolerance. And who built the Taj Mahal?
Shah Jahan.
Shah Jahan. Aurangzeb was a Mughal emperor who followed a policy of religious tolerance. False. Yeah, he's the opposite. He's the guy that went the other direction, who tried to be really intolerant, and it didn't work. It helped lead to the breakdown of the Mughal Empire. Shah Jahan was a Mughal emperor who banned sati completely.
False.
Right? Who was the one who had anything to do with sati that we discussed?
Jahangir.
Jahangir. And what was his policy? He restricted it. Right, he restricted it. Those guys are easy to confuse. Louis XIV is best connected to democracy.
False.
What's he connected to?
Absolutism.
Right, royal absolutism and divine right. John Locke was a political philosopher who argued that governments exist to protect property. True. Nicholas Copernicus was a genius who, while working alone, discovered that the Earth went around the sun. False. Right? Remember, I tried to emphasize that the scientists work together in a community. Everything else is true. He was a genius. He did discover that the Earth went around the sun, but it is a group. Isaac Newton believed that religion hindered science. False, right. He thought religion was, he thought that God was a divine lawmaker, and by studying using our God-given reason to understand the universe, we were just discovering those laws. Frederick was a Russian who saw that science allowed for accurate artillery.
True.
False. What was he?
He was Prussian.
He was Prussian. Right. I want you to tell the difference. For several years of marriage, my wife thought I was Russian, and I said, no, I'm German descent, not Russian. So I want to make that clear. But my ancestors are not from Prussia. Adam Smith applied the insights of scientists to the economy. True. Right. He's a social scientist. Economics is a social science. Catherine the Great was an enlightened despot and therefore encouraged equality among her people.
False.
That is false. Right. That is false. She was an enlightened despot. But remember, she gave away serfs to people. Like he's like, here's some land, here's some guys to work it. So she was what we would call an enlightened despot. She said, I'm more enlightened than other people. That's why I should rule. George Washington defeated the British Army single-handedly. False, right? We need the help of the French. Louis XVI was allowed to stay king by the French revolutionaries, proving how conservative they were.
False.
What did they do to him?
cut
Yeah, they cut off his head, right, because they were radical. Robespierre was a radical French revolutionary who launched the terror. True. Pierre Vergniaud predicted that the revolution would eventually devour its own children and therefore embrace despotism. False. False. He didn't think despotism was good. He said we need to not do this because otherwise we'll lose our democracy, we'll lose our republic, and then we'll have a despot, which is a dictator. Olympe de Gouges is famous for assassinating a radical revolutionary during the French Revolution. False. Who did that? Charlotte Corday did that. She's the one that did the shooting. Or, I'm sorry, the knifing. Charlotte Corday is famous for assassinating a radical revolutionary during the French Revolution. That is true. Napoleon Bonaparte made his army more loyal to him than the French Republic and so was able to seize power. That is true. Toussaint Louverture was a slave who led a successful slave rebellion in Haiti. Yeah, he was a former slave. Right? And the reason, and that may seem like a very petty difference, it's very important because we have to understand one reason why this revolt was successful was because Toussaint had developed these organizational and administrative skills, and he had this kind of vision that came through his education that allowed him to successfully lead the rebellion. Right? That's why that's important. James Watt was the founder of socialism.
No.
False. He developed a kind of a very efficient steam engine. The bourgeoisie were a middle class of people with technical knowledge whose skills were needed in an industrial economy.
True.
That's true. Interesting. Okay. So, before we get to our last section,